All right, Emily, Jay, thanks so much for taking some time to talk with me today. It's been great to work with you, and really thank you so much for your engagement as we get this search launched. And looking forward to talking a bit about that. But just first, want to talk about your own backgrounds and what drew you to Stanbridge. Emily, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for inviting me to be a part of the conversation. Was an educator for 20 years in the classroom. I taught first and second grade, and I know it takes a special person to be with the young ones. And after 20 years in the classroom, I was really eager to step into administration. Admissions is always something that I have been interested in, shaping culture of the school. I have a niece who has special needs, and I've watched my sister and brother-in-law go through a hard process finding the right school for their daughter. And so I was intimately involved in helping them behind the scenes. Julie and I have a history together. We worked together at Hausner School years ago, and recently I worked at Nueva for 12 years, but then I was reacquainted with her very serendipitously and came to visit the school and fell in love with it and was signed on to be here 2 weeks later. So I'm very happy I'm here and I love Stanbridge.
Love it, love it. Well, Jay, you must love Stanbridge because you've been there a while. But thinking back to when you first came, what drew you to the school, and talk a bit about your background as an educator.
Definitely. So I'm finishing up my 21st year. So I've been at Stanbridge a very long time. And what drew me to the school is that I needed a job. And I was on a frisbee team with the then English teacher. And she's like, you know what? If you're willing to work with our kids, and uh, what that really points to, I think, most is how much the school has grown. Back then, there was a real sense of it just being kind of being camp that was safe for kids. And through subsequent administrations, and definitely through Julie, we've really grown to become a very rigorous, but yet personalized and loving campus where we are holding kids now to very high standards, but standards that we know they can reach. And teaching them, more than academics. And I really enjoy much more kind of the social emotional end of things. Um, if I just had to stand up and speak biology all day, I'd probably get bored. But being able to pull a kid aside and be like, the words that you're using aren't landing the way you want them to, right? Your intent and your impact are misaligned. So what's another phrase that we could use? How else, how can we empower somebody to hear what you're hearing or hear what you're thinking? So, and Stanbridge is a great place where you get to do both.
Well, you talked about the community and the campus, and maybe for those that haven't been there, let's just sort of walk viewers through a little bit about either not necessarily all the rooms, but just what the culture, the community, the life is like. Jay, do you want us to start and talk about some of the things either in the upper school or just the campus at large?
Well, I'll start with it's a tiny school. It's less than 100 kids, K through 12, and the high school hovers just under 40 kids with about 10 kids per grade. So we graduate between like 8 and 12 kids a year in the high school. And so it's a really, really small school. But what that empowers us to do is I know everybody. I know the entire school. I know almost every kid's name, even down in kindergarten. And we all look out for each other. We all support each other. And that is very thoughtfully fostered by everybody, by the teachers, by the administration, and by the students and specialists. We really do try to say that Stanbridge is where you can come and be safe and be pushed in a comfortable environment. And this should feel like home, right? This should really feel like you are seen and you're supported, but you're also challenged. It's not a day at the spa, it's a day at the gym.
Emily, I'm not sure if you use quite the words spa and gym as you're giving the admissions tour, but what do you talk about or highlight to show people that, yeah, this is a bit of a different community, but one that has, as Jay was saying, such a unique, caring, loving, and close-knit feel?
One of the things that I love to share that a lot of people might not know is the history of our building. This building used to be a preventorium where healthy kids live during tuberculosis when their parents were getting well and being treated. So our campus has always been a place that has cared for young children. And I think that legacy is a beautiful thing to honor. Our campus is a very, once you walk in the doors, you realize there's so much character and personality. Hayden Hall is the hearth of our school. You walk in, it sort of has a Harry Potter feel. We do countless things in that space. We have rainy day recess, parent meetings, our Stanbridge Parent Association. It's just a beautiful space where, and on any given day, there's a million different things happening. And in our classrooms, our teachers really get to bring who they are into their classroom spaces. And that's why when you walk into the different classrooms, you get a feel for who the teachers are. That also is a beautiful model for kids to bring their identity into the classroom. I will say everyone walks into Jay's room, he loves Prince, and there's a lot of toys in there. And so that's an example. And um, you walk into the music room and everyone's expecting to see formal music suggestions on the wall, and there's Oasis and songs. And so I think what's beautiful is we are a strengths-based school, and when you walk into the campus and all the classrooms speak to the fact that the kids have the room and the comfort to bring their identity and all of who they are.
Jay, since you've been there a while, and speaking of identity and bringing their all, talk about sort of what I know. There's probably no typical Stanbridge faculty member or educator, but you described 20 years ago, Stanbridge found someone on the frisbee team who clearly was mission aligned, but you said things have changed a bit. Talk about what makes a good Stanbridge teacher of today and just what it's like a little bit more to teach in the classroom.
Definitely. I'll tell you that, I've mentored many new staff as they come in. I tend to be a mentor just because I've been around for so long. And what I tell them first and foremost is fall in love with the kids or get out. That's it. They're quirky. Are, they'll tell you you look fat today, and then you have an opportunity to say, that's not really a phrase that we would use, right? But these are the same kids that are also incredibly gifted and this, that, and the other thing. Whether it's they're really good at math and science, that kind of like classic, or they've memorized the entire train schedule for the entire Bay Area, or, right? Or they know every Pokemon or whatever it is. They just bring their joy, to Stanbridge, and you either that and embrace that or you're just not going to make it. The kids are going to be the kids. And you either have to, that either has to light you up when a kid, hops in and it's just like, oh, did you hear that? That was the 247. It's 2 minutes early. It's 2 minutes. And you're like, it's 2 minutes early, dude. Must be a good day. It's a great day. I'll go get my books, right? And like you either just love that this kid feels so comfortable to, share something that is authentically beautiful to them, even though they know I don't care about trains. It's not my jam. Timetables doesn't light me up. But they just have to tell someone, and they feel so safe to tell me or to tell other staff. And they know that we're just kind of patting them on the head and saying, I'm really happy for you. But there is love behind that. Right. And so a good staff is someone who can embrace all that joy, all those quirks, all those really unique passions, but also then hold a really nice, firm relationship where we model, well, this is how you talk to your boss, right? And where they can come and tell me about their Pokemon and all that kind of stuff. I can also say, okay, now it's class time, and we're not going to talk about Pokemon, right? And so for the next 50 minutes, what we're going to talk about is biology. So I just like to make sure that the language that we're using is all biology based. So let's go there, right? And then teaching them how to switch, code switch between teacher who is a confidant and a friend and a mentor to teacher who is a master of their domain, is a sage, and really understands the material and wants to help me academically also. So someone who can balance both of those, sorry, a 6'7" right there. If there are any students on this call, forget it, it'd be over. But someone who can balance those two sides will thrive at Stanbridge.
Awesome. And Emily, as you talk to parents and sort of hear them either sort of, that sort of feeling of either happiness or relief or thrive, what do they say most about kind of, what draws them to Stanbridge or what makes them feel so comfortable and just, relieved that this is the right place for their child?
Yeah, and one of the greatest gifts of my job is being able to, I'm the first person that meets people on a very hard, long journey, and a lot of parents have been holding their breath, trying to make it work in other spaces and put a round peg in a square hole. And I think in some ways they've lost faith that there can be a place where their kid doesn't have to morph or change something about themselves in order to fit in. When people come to Stanbridge, they feel hopeful and they feel like they don't have to compromise on anything. I visited a lot of schools that serve our population, and they can feel very clinical, or as if you're cutting corners or spending all your day on what's hard for you. It's amazing that parents come here and they're like, well, this is like a school, like every other school. But we are working and meeting the kids where they are, but they still get to have dances and sports teams and experiential trips. And parents are really, it restores their faith in education that there could be a place where students can thrive, where their students can thrive. I also just wanted to share something about your question in advance about faculty here. I think just as much as we have a varied student body, we also have a varied a varied faculty. And just as much as we differentiate for our students, we also differentiate for our teachers. And I think that's a beautiful thing because a lot of our teachers, sometimes struggle with some of the challenges that our students do. And so we meet our faculty where they are. And one of the gifts of working with children is that they force you to be present, and these students force you to be present with them and what's important to them. So it's wonderful to learn from our students just as much as they learn from us, and also as adults to feel accepted the way the students are too.
Appreciate that. No, thanks for sharing that. Well, I want to just learn from both of you, sort of in the final question here, about just what you're excited for about the next chapter for the school. What, just you're, eagerly thinking about or wondering or feel like, oh, this is what a great opportunity for the next chapter of the school. Um, Jay, you want to start us off and just, what lies ahead for you or what you are hoping for in the coming years?
Definitely. I think we are at a real crossroads right now in the sense that for the past 10 years, our current head of school, Julie, has done a really wonderful job building up our staff and building up the professionalism and the capacities of our teachers and staff, where now everyone is an absolute expert in their domain. Right now, we have the strongest staff that we've had in the past 20 years, as far as every single person understands their students, understands their domain, and is able to really present all the topics in a multimodal way where every student can get it. And so that's locked down. I feel like Stanbridge right now is really beautifully packaged, and it truly is like the diamond, the hidden gem of the Bay Area. And so now that we have it all packaged up and beautiful, now I think it's let's get the word out, right? I think there's a lot of families that could benefit from all the work that we've done over the past, definitely the past 10 years, if not longer, of getting all of our ducks in a row and really learning how to educate and connect with students with a wide variety of learning differences. And now it's, okay, what do we do with it? Right? And there's many ways we could do. We could lean more to E with an expansive idea of giftedness, right? We can also start getting some of the education that's happening on campus, off campus by running trainings and that sort of thing. And our staff is definitely capable of educating other educators based on the work that they do here. And so there's a whole bunch of possible irons in the fire and a whole bunch of avenues that we could travel. And I think we are absolutely perfectly positioned to move down any of those roads very successfully. We just need that unified vision that we can all get behind and a leader who can codify that vision and lead us down it.
Emily, any thoughts about irons or avenues or different ways you hope the school move forward in the next couple of years?
Yes, I think that the school is always a place that it's often referred to as the hidden gem. And I think once people come to our campus, they fall in love with the school and never want to leave. I think with our growth and all the internal work that we've done, we're ready to turn outward and have our school be in the landscape of the other schools of in some ways higher caliber. And I think that we're ready for that. We have done such an incredible job of growing the school, and Jay said the faculty and staff is really primed, and I think now it's about um, having the mission be how do we share best practices? How do we share all the amazing things we're doing with the greater Bay Area and really world at large about the great things and innovative things that are happening here?
That's great. Actually, maybe on that note, one bonus question. It's just short if you can. You talked about innovative, Emily. You know, what is for you an example of, wow, what a creative either like program that Stanbridge does, could be a student event or something that's student facing, more on a student life side. Could be just sort of a way you all talk about something that just really makes it unique for students and families. So I'll let you go first, Emily. Anything sort of on the wow, this really is an innovative, unique thing to Stanbridge.
Yeah, one of the things I really love and interesting that Jay's on the call is we teach a design engineering class in our high school program. And design engineering is the belief that anything that's been designed can be redesigned. And it's been a beautiful lens for students at all levels. There's really an entry point for anyone to think about a system or a product that can be thought about in a different way. And our design engineering class in my first year, I got to go to the Pinball Museum in Alameda. It's a great way to spend $1. And we came back and we got to think about making our own pinball machines. And everyone was as different as the student who created it, but it's an opportunity for anybody to be an engineer. And with recycled materials that cost about $3, you can make amazing things. This year, Jay's design engineering class made a little library, excuse me, where there's a QR code and it shows books about our population, about learning differences. So I think when kids see themselves as ability to be change makers and to think about creating things for people of all levels, it's really empowering for our students who sometimes are boxed in or feel like they might have not have those opportunities.
And Jay, maybe the final word with you. And I know you told me once about sort of every year you get a new tool in your tool chest. I love that innovative metaphor. You don't have to go there. I wanted to drop that one and sort of say, great comment about what it is like to grow as an educator there. But just again, any sort of innovative program or experience or something that just makes Stanbridge so unique.
Well, I'll dovetail with Emily, and that is for the past 6 years, I've been working with Emily and a couple other people on not just this design engineering class, but also how to do projects in class for kids that learn differently, right? And so thinking of a process that we've codified finally and have been running in classes like biology and chemistry and history, and a way to bring project-based learning into classrooms through this roadmap that can be used in any domain whatsoever. And and we've had amazing returns. The things that the students have been building or creating or making have been amazing to look at and super fun and very individual. They're all wildly different, and I wouldn't have thought of any of them, right? And it's empowering staff to take a moment and instead of just being the sage on the stage, take a moment and say, let's see where the kids can take this and get the kids to build their own education. And I would say that is probably the most innovative thing that I've been part of for the past couple of years. And it's really starting to pay off now. But again, that's 6 years of throwing stuff at the wall.
Well, I clearly it's a school with a lot of great elements and foundations, and we look forward to helping you all bring somebody with their own innovative ideas and ability to help the school lead into its next chapter. So just thank you both so much for your insights and sharing your passions and your why. And we look forward to working with you on the rest of the search.
Right on. Thank you, Gabe.